God, I can't get rid of that. Good morning. Wow. I feel like it's very early this morning. So good evening if you're in Australia or New Zealand or anywhere else in the world where it might be late, which I couldn't possibly name a single place. So I'm feeling slightly better than I did yesterday, although I'm going to admit I'm just not 100%. It's too much. It's too much to expect me to feel completely compos mentis after such a lovely Christmas miracle yesterday. So, yes. Anyway, how are you? I managed to overlap some streams here, so I don't even know what I'm doing this morning. However, if you want to call from Australia, your free phone number is 1-800-959-819. If you want to call from New Zealand, your free phone number is 800-441-607. So I'm drinking a cup of tea, which I don't normally do unless I go to my lovely neighbour's house because they make the best cup of tea ever in the whole wide world of cups of tea. Hello, good evening. You are through to TERF Talk Thursday. I think I'm going to have to call it today. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Oh, hello. My name's Juanita. Sorry, I didn't expect to get through so quickly.
You absolutely did, Juanita. You're the first one. Good evening. How are you?
Oh, I am fantastic. I can't wait for you to come over here in Melbourne in March. I will be there with my bright yellow T-shirt on.
Good.
Yes, and
Go on.
Yes, I was just going to say I've just been woken up to what's happening around the world to women's sex-based rights, and I have the fire in my belly and it won't go out.
What was the thing that woke you up?
I just started looking online and just hearing things over the last sort of 6 months, and instead of saying anything, I just held back and just started listening, and then finding the people where, yes, that's my voice. I know what my voice is going to be, and I've come out kicking and screaming, and no one can shut me up.
Well, I love it. And you're in Melbourne, you say?
Yeah, well, yes, I'm in Melbourne, and I've connected with people in Melbourne, and I did a speakers corner in Melbourne in December, and so met some wonderful women here, and I've actually sent you a message to say that I actually have space for a adult human female shop if you wanted one. That would be rent free in my home. I've got large sheds on an old farm.
Right.
So yeah.
You might have to send me that message again because I'm quite inundated with messages. So sometimes these things, or sometimes I'll reply and I think, yeah, I'll remember that, and then I have no idea what I'm doing.
I only just sent it today.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, and it's just on the chat. So because I'm in touch with ladies here that are in contact with you as well. So I just
Well, I very much look forward to seeing you. Did you speak at the Speakers Corner in Melbourne? Did you speak or just attend?
Absolutely.
You did?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And this time I'm coming with my prepared speech. I go every time I walk out my door now. I am Be the Billboard. I wear my T-shirts. I have multiple T-shirts now, and I'm ordering more. Lovely. And I get scoffed at by younger women, but old women that are 40 and over all give me the thumbs up. Love your T-shirt.
Really?
And yes, yeah. And some women have told me to quieten down and not be so loud. And of course, I have to go louder when they say that.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. I can empathise with that point of view completely. Well, thank you so much for calling, and I really look forward to seeing you in Melbourne with your lovely T-shirts. But I will get in touch about your message. I promise I'll respond.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Juanita is my name.
All right. Thank you, Juanita.
So, okay.
Thank you so much. Cheers. Bye-bye. Well, that was a great first call, wasn't it? Okay, I'm going to remind you of the numbers. Oh, I don't need to. Hello, good evening. This is Kellie-Jay. You're through to TERF Talk Thursday. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say? Did I miss you? Hello,
Hello.
good evening.
I'm speaking?
You are speaking. Good evening. This is Kellie-Jay. You're through to TERF Talk Thursday. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Hi. I'm just a big fan. I post on Twitter at Flying Gender or Flying Spaghetti Gender. And yeah, I just wanted to call up and welcome you back to Twitter and say
Thanks.
that I'm, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And I wanted to say, yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Australia tour, the Australia New Zealand tour. And do you know, have you got the cities that you're visiting confirmed yet?
Or? This is where I think I'm going to go, and I'm just making sure that it's completely feasible. So Sydney, Brisbane, Adelaide, Perth, Melbourne, Canberra, Tasmania. I think that have I missed Sydney? Yeah, I think that's about it for Australia. So I think we've
that's pretty much everywhere.
Okay, good. And then a couple of places, North and South Island, or whatever they call it. I don't want to offend anyone. In New Zealand.
Yep.
So that's
sure.
That's about it.
Cool. Well, yeah. That's. I think that's going to be really great. Melbourne is I heard you were going to finish in Melbourne, and that's obviously like the wokest city in Australia. So
yeah,
there will be a big storm there, and I think that'll be great for drawing attention to the issue.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, the point. Yeah.
What is it about Melbourne, do you think, that makes it so so ripe for lunacy?
It's like it's a generally left-wing city, and up until recently, I would have said that was a good thing. I mean, I still think it is a good thing in many ways, but there's strong kind of whatever union tradition there is still alive in Australia is kind of only present in essentially the construction and like the wharfies in Melbourne.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the remnants of the Australian working class.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's all just been cannibalized by neoliberal NGOs, and part of that is the trans thing. So now all the unions are completely on board with trans, but ironically, they're also incredibly unpopular in terms of the membership declines more and more every year to the point where it's going to be nothing pretty soon. And so potentially I had often thought, like, what would happen if people started like joining their unions en masse, but in terms of like using them to try and address some of these issues in terms of people getting cancelled and taking that up as a workers' rights issue, which you would have previously thought it was, to be discriminated for your political beliefs in the workplace would have been something that a unionist would have fought against rather than tried to pioneer.
I mean, I just wonder, when it comes to sort of the left and unions and so on, I was very much on the left for my whole life until I realized what the left actually consisted of, which was a huge heap of sexism. And I guess if we look at struggles in this country about workers' rights, women had to fight for their own rights. The unions didn't fight for their rights at all. Women had to sort of fight for their own rights. So I just wonder if the left was always going to reveal this sort of sexism, if it was always there and I was just too blind to see it. But I wonder if this is a logical conclusion of an entire movement that really has just focused on men.
Yeah, well, I think there's definitely a component of it where like I sort of was like came of age, I guess, late 90s, early 2000s. So the 60s was really glorified during that period.
Yeah.
And lots of those movements are now kind of like sacrosanct and have this holy position on the left. But if you go back and look at a lot of it, like there was a lot of the same problems the left has today with the left back then, in terms of like crazy identity politics, forming the various people's militias that would like kill a high school principal, or random things like that, like just silly kind of juvenile things. That's always kind of been part of the left. And ultimately, I think what the left is capital's attempt to recuperate like resistance by giving you a fake kind of alternative to play with.
It's nuts. It's also nuts.
But anyway.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, I will see you when I'm in Australia. I hope to release the itinerary as soon as humanly possible, but I'm so busy here at the moment that it's extraordinarily difficult. But thank you so much for calling, and I will see you in March.
Yep, thanks.
Cheers.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye. Oh, I feel like delirious with tiredness this morning, but we press on. Good evening. This is Kellie-Jay. You're through to TERF Talk Thursday. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say? Good evening.
Oh, hi.
Hi.
I just wanted to say I only just found out like last night that you were coming to Australia, and I'm really excited.
Oh, good. Where are you-ish in Australia?
I live closest to Melbourne.
Right.
So I guess I'll be seeing you there.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah.
How long have you been
Melbourne's
peaked?
gonna be hectic.
How long have you been peaked? How long have you known about this issue?
About probably 13 years.
Wow.
I peaked while I lived in Melbourne.
And so 13 years. So that's a lot longer than most of us have even known about it. What peaked you?
Well, I used to be pretty active on, back when blogs were all a thing, like, 10 or so years ago. That's where I would read lots and lots of feminist content there. And then I noticed the trans thing, like, became sort of more promoted. Like, people were trying really hard to be more inclusive of trans issues. And I thought that was fine at the time, until I noticed more and more that the feminists would just stop talking about feminist issues, and I didn't really understand why. I'd noticed that the blogs became less and less active, and it's because they couldn't talk about abortion rights because that would involve mentioning that women are female.
Yeah.
And there would, just so many things like that. I noticed more and more, and I just got sick of it. And I noticed that trans, like, there's an issue in feminist communities where it's always been a bit of an issue where male allies will be sort of given leadership positions and will end up eventually talking over women.
Yes.
And I don't know, that's just part of our socialization, really. But I noticed the same pattern with trans women, and it just got to the point where I couldn't ignore it anymore. They're men, and everyone knows they're men. That's why they're favoured over women.
Yeah. And so you couldn't even speak about it 13 years ago? People were stopping being able to talk about it?
Yeah, they were just self-censoring. They couldn't even begin to talk about feminist issues that were well, because feminism it's ultimately about the female body, really.
Yeah.
And no one wanted to talk about that because they would feel that I'm being exclusionary, so I better not. I don't want to say anything offensive, so I better not say anything at all. And all the discussions just dried up.
God, did you imagine for a heartbeat that your state and your government would get involved on the side of these men?
Oh my God, no! I had no idea where we would be where we are today 10 years ago. It's happened so quickly. It's a bit of a red flag that it's not the grassroots movement it pretends to be.
Yeah, of course. I often think about Sheila Jeffries or Janice Raymond, and I just think they basically just yelled about it 50 years ago nearly, and everyone and it just must be so infuriating to just watch this thing unfold, thinking, well, I knew this, I did tell you all, But so you're going to come, I assume, to Melbourne, show your face. Will you speak?
Oh, most likely not. I think I think I'll just come as a supporter.
Okay, well,
no one, very few people in my life know my opinions on these things.
Oh my God! I mean, that in itself is just so frightening, isn't it? It's a perfectly valid, normal point of view that you think a woman is not a man.
Yeah,
and it's unsayable.
It's absolutely insane.
It's really crazy.
Absolutely insane.
Well, come and be among us, and we will.
Oh, and
go on.
Yeah. Oh, I've got to say as well, I love your William Morris mug. It's beautiful.
Oh, thanks so much. It's the biggest mug I've got. And I was like, I'm going to have a cup of tea. And normally I go and see my lovely neighbour at this sort of time of day, and she makes me the most lovely cup of tea. But yes, I thought I'd have a William Morris cup of tea instead. But thank you so much for your call, and I will see you in March.
All right.
Cheers. Bye. Hello, good evening. This is TERF Talk Thursday. I can't even get it right. My name is Kellie-Jay. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Hi, Kellie-Jay. It's Jacqueline in North Queensland. How are you going?
Hi, I'm great, Jacqueline. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good, thank you. Welcome back to Twitter.
Oh, thank you. I feel I can breathe again. Although I'm not going to lie, I'm delighted that I was off for about 3.5 of the last 4.5 years, because I don't think I would have got anywhere near the sort of things that I've done. I just don't know that I would have done it. So
yeah, it's a bit of a time thief, and it does suck the oxygen out of the room somewhat.
Yes, it does.
But,
it does.
Having said that, I'm here to shamelessly plug at Standing for Women Australia Twitter page.
I think I followed you already.
You did.
Okay,
yeah.
great, good.
You did.
Thank God for that.
You did.
And
no, otherwise I'd be phoning up to scold you.
Yes, good. All right. Well, I don't blame you. How is I'm trying to get my itinerary done. I think I'm doing my itinerary. I think I'm nearly there. I'm just going to get someone to oversee it to make sure that what I think I can do is doable, and I'm not wasting time sort of hanging around places for sort of days on end. But also, I'm not doing something stupid like flying from Melbourne to Perth or Sydney to Perth, and giving myself a day to do the whole thing. So I understand I need to do some checks, Jacqueline, basically. But you run the Standing for Women at the moment. You're running Standing for Women Australia, and it's a growing group.
Yeah, I'm running the Twitter page, and I'm helping Jane with the locals, trying to get that up and running. So I'd like to sort of, again, a bit of a shout out to anybody in Australia. If you're on Twitter, follow us, and if you're not on Twitter and you'd like to be part of locals, then please do get in touch at the usual email address. And we're really trying to get it going here, and we're sort of going to slow down over the next week or two with the holiday period coming in. But yeah, we really want to get this thing fired up and happening in the new year.
Why do you think it's important to have? I mean, I'm sure we're both preaching to the converted, but just from your local point of view, why do you think it's important that women join Standing for Women, sort of our local Australia groups?
Okay, well, from my own experience, I'm a dual citizen. And I lived here in Australia from 1984 until 2019. And in 2019, I decided to go back to the UK indefinitely. And during that time in the UK, I'd no sooner been back and we were hit with lockdown. And during that time during lockdown, I really did a deep dive into this subject, and I discovered you. And as soon as lockdown was over, one of the first things I did was jumped on a train from where I live in East Sussex and went up to Speaker's Corner and got to meet some amazing women there. And for me, I've just made so many friends, like-minded people. It's given me something to do in my old age to make me feel useful. But no, I've just met some of the most amazing people. There'll be people who will be friends for life that I've met through this movement, because we don't have to go through the niceties of getting to know you and dare I speak about this subject.
Yeah.
We're already on the same page with this. And so it's like you're breathing fresh air, you know. when you even meet somebody for the first time, there's that connection there. You're not having to walk on eggshells around the subject. So I'm back in Australia. I came back for a holiday to spend time here with family, and offered to help Jane while I'm here on the ground to get things up and running. Amazing. So I can't recommend it enough if you really just want to meet a community of like-minded people, because we connect everybody on a online chat group, and that helps people to connect if you just want to vent, if you want to get something off your chest, if you want to share information, or if you can arrange to meet up and socialize. It's in this kind of environment that we're in, especially in Australia at the moment, it can be a lifeline. It can be a sanity saving group of people to hook up with.
It's mad, isn't it? I mean, I think people feel so isolated and get used to this self-censorship in every aspect of their life that they don't really know that they've been holding their breath for so long until they sort of come and meet a group of women, like you say. And the community, I think, is extraordinary. I see women in the pub after we have our Speakers Corners meetings, and I'm sure you've been there. And, just genuinely inclusive, like by the real meaning of the word, of a broad spectrum of women just having a laugh, just having like sometimes really personal conversations. But it's a rare thing, and it's such a delight to be part of it. It's extraordinary, and you're doing such great work, Jacqueline. Thank you so much. Jane can't speak highly of you enough.
Oh, that's really nice. You're making me blush now.
So
that's really lovely.
So you Aussie women, come on. Do get in touch with local at Standing for Women, and they can put you in touch with your Australian groups.
Or even if you're on Twitter, you can contact directly through direct messaging, or there is an email address attached to our Australian Twitter account that will bring you straight through to my box as well. So there's 3 different ways.
Amazing. Just one more plug of your Twitter account address.
At SFW Australia.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jacqueline. I'm not going to meet you in Australia, am I? I think you're going to be back.
I'll be back, but I'll see you at Peaker's Corner.
All right, lovely. Thank you so much. Nice to talk to you. Cheers.
You too.
Bye. Bye. I just have a couple of quick super chats. So I will say thank you to Nora Calder, super sticker with $17.99. And then it just describes the sticker, right? So it's Sheba the dog in samurai armor, waving a banner saying #1. So thank you so much for your super chat. Okay, so the lines are open. You will get through quicker than you imagine. I've got quite a few missed calls, so if you want to call back, the line is open now. If you are in Australia, the Freephone number is 1-800-959-819. And if you're in New Zealand, the Freephone number is 800-441-607. So yeah, do have a look at SFW Australia on Twitter. There's some other Standing for Women accounts. If you just put at Standing for Women in the search engine, you will find it. Search engine. How old am I? 107. If you just put that into Twitter, you will find me, them, all of us. And if you are on Twitter and you're running a Standing for Women account and I haven't followed you, please do let me know. So now, I don't think I've got the book in front of me. So I'm going to start off in Sydney. And then I'm going to, I'm ending up in Canberra, I think. Or I might have to end up in Melbourne and go to Canberra before that. I'm also going to New Zealand, and I've got to look at the most populated city of people that are engaged in this topic with me. I've still got a cold. I'm feeling quite ropey. So I think if we don't get a call in the next 5 minutes, we're probably going to have to end it there. And then I can, I don't know, go back to bed or something, because I feel I'm going to be unwell for Christmas. Okay. So let's read some of these lovely little chats. It's lovely to know you're with people who haven't drunk the Kool-Aid. Totally right, says Catherine. Nebulous Nimbus. I'm in East Sussex and need to find women in real life to connect with. I've been disowned by my closest female friends over this issue. Need connections in real life. Please get in touch with local at Standing for Women, and we can put you in touch with women. We do, look, we have a vetting process. One of the women's groups here not very long ago had an issue with things being leaked. So we try and be really, really careful just to make sure that when you think you're in a safe space, excuse the expression, you're actually in one. I just missed a call from New Zealand. I don't know how I did that. But if that was you, you are welcome to call back. Come to Auckland. It's New Zealand's biggest city. Well, that does sound like I probably should go then. Reddit is run by, okay. Thank you, Rex and the Band United. I have contacted local, but haven't had any reply. I'm in New South Wales. I'm not on Twitter either. Hello, good morning, good evening. Sorry, this is Kellie-Jay. You're through to TERF Talk Thursday. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Well, this is J.T. Papa Mina Woman, and you are notable bigot Posie Parker. Aren't you, Posie?
Good evening, Rex. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, girl. How are you? Cheeky ringing in, eh? Gosh.
Yeah, I know. I know. Well, we put a free phone number, so we'd encourage the likes of all and sundry in New Zealand. Yes, I'm really good. I'm very excited to be back on Twitter. I lost my account in August 2018. I'm really thrilled. I've booked my tickets already to come to down to Australia. I've got to work out when the best time is to pop over to New Zealand without losing my ability to re-enter Australia. So yeah, I'm great. How are you? How's Christmas shaping up?
Oh, darling, Trixie and Jason have just finished filming their Christmas special.
Great.
So that'll be coming out, and I'll probably do a roundup as myself. Just what a year. And
what's been your highlight and low light, Rex? Just to interrupt you, what's your standout moment, both good and bad, this year?
Well, my standout. Well, for myself, my standout was FTP telling Plod, no, I'm not accepting your warning about making some tranny sad on the internet because of words.
Yeah.
Worldwide, you in America, and it was probably one of my big highlights, seeing you do that and rip the plaster off.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that was lots of other stuff, but that was probably top of the tree, and all the women that stood up as a result of that.
It's powerful, isn't it?
It is. It's just when you give people permission to be brave, and when you say that's okay, you can believe in reality. You don't have to hold your breath. You don't have to say that. Also, you don't have to say fuck your pronouns like me. You can just say I don't believe in gender jeebus.
Although it's better if you say that.
Yeah, I don't follow your religion. I don't follow your cult. I don't follow that practice.
Yeah.
Any one of those will work.
Yeah.
You know, because not everybody can just say, nah.
And the low lights then? What do you think has been the scariest thing?
Getting called by Plod and being told I could be arrested for making some tranny sad on the internet because of words.
So mad.
In a way, but knowing that women are still being raped in jail while handmaids still say, but what about? Knowing that little girls will never know the freedom of going to a toilet without their mum having to check it. So these are the lowlights that keep me up at night, that vex me. The freedom. the sheer freedom of, like, when we go swimming, my sister and I go swimming, when we go and we can get changed in the changing room. I look at that as every day when that happens, if we don't go into the disabled one or the family changing, every time we do that and there's no tranny in there is now a privilege. And I'm like, no, those were our rights that we fought for. So that's why it's still shoulder to the wheel.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's
those small things that are really very big. Knowing that when that woman walks in, she's a woman.
Yeah.
And you don't have to stand over your grandchildren.
It's just why do you think it's happened? Why do you think women all over the world are, and clearly not all women, but many women all over the world are just willing to just surrender our rights, like almost giving them, willingly gifting them to these men?
They're hoping they're going to be raped last.
Is that what you think it is?
The only thing I can think they're only hoping it's like the appeasing the crocodile, darling. You're hoping he's going to eat you last. There can be no quarter, because being nice and kind and agreeing to call a mentally ill woman and with no breasts a man is what got us here.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing, and it's very small, but it's big. You know, those freedoms we have as women have gone. In public life, it's just not on.
No.
Just can't be having it. So
no, I feel like I've got the rage of all the apathetic women. I feel like I've picked up all their rage.
Yes. And I got big old black shoulders here, girl. So I've been carrying a few people. People ask me why I'm angry. I ask them why they're not.
Yeah, I agree with you. I so agree with you.
Oh,
well,
it's mass hypnosis.
A highlight for me in 2023 is going to be meeting the infamous Rex Landy.
And you know, I'm gonna announce it here. My son bought me a ticket to Dave Chappelle for Christmas.
Did he?
I know, he did. So I'm going to see Dave Chappelle in Christchurch in February. On February the 21st. I know.
I'm so jealous. Well, I've got tickets to go and see Ricky Gervais in January. So it'll be like the TERF. It'll be TERF comedy all over the world. But oh, how wonderful! I'm so jealous. I'd love to go and see Dave Chappelle.
I know. I was just. I cried. I cried and cried.
Oh.
He said, "That's your Christmas present." I did. I cried because he knows his mum is a boss TERF, along with his auntie.
Oh, Rex, well, I wish you a very, very Merry Christmas, and I will see you next year.
Thank you, darling. You too. Merry Christmas, all you TERFs. Never surrender. We are going to win.
We are.
You know why.
We absolutely
Bye-bye,
are.
darling.
Bye. Hello, good evening. This is Kellie-Jay. You're through to TERF Talk Thursday. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Hello, Kellie-Jay. It's Kellyanne from Queensland, Stand the Crown. I can't believe I've come following Rex Landy. Can you believe that?
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Pretty cool indeed. I love Rex. Hey, Rex is, inspirational, I reckon.
Yeah, me too. Me too. There's something to admire about women that really have got to the end of their tether and just say exactly what they think.
I reckon I could rock one of those pronoun shirts personally. I think I could do that. So beginning of my week, I've had a friend that I've had since high school, and we had a big blowout in our morning walks that we do, and she's no longer going to be my friend anymore after 30 years, so I'm a bit disappointed. And it really came down to an argument over free speech versus hate speech at the end of the day.
Jesus, 30 years. So what was the, what's her investment in this? Is she personally invested in some way?
Well, not really, no. Like, we know the same kids that went through high school, and I'm horrified at the kids what has happened to them, especially one young girl, same age as my daughter, Buck Angel fan, and she's had a double mastectomy now here in Queensland. And they were a small grade. They only had 80 students in their grade. And there was a boy who said he was a girl I'd known since prep. You know, I used to babysit him. And a girl in high school that has had that done. And they both graduated. And what was very strange about that, I know I'm digressing here, but what was really strange about that was the guest that they had at the high school. So this was 2019, Kellie-Jay. And he said that he was a failed actor, but what he was most proud of was being a gay man. And he put the two transgender students on a pedestal.
Right.
Which is really weird. But it's really unfortunate about my friend. I've had a few teary moments over it this week. I just to be shut down. Like she constantly would shut me down every time I would mention everything, and which is a little crazy because I would sort of she's a personal trainer by trade. And I couldn't understand how one can be a personal trainer and not understand biology and human body.
God. It's so crazy. It just operates like a cult or a religion, right? So it's I think it's possibly the only topic that I've ever come across ever that people genuinely can't speak about. I've even talked to people who maybe have other prejudices and they will talk about them, and you're allowed to criticize them and they're allowed to criticize you for whatever it is. But this is, we know it's not true. So other things may be based on truth, even though they might be irrational or they may be whatever. You can kind of find a grain of truth to it, even if it's a real bad bit of distorted thinking, right? But this particular thing is based upon the fundamental premises of a lie, and therefore it cannot be examined in any way, shape, or form because it doesn't bear scrutiny. So I think that's why it's such a toxic issue more than anything else. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I totally agree. And I stood there and I sort of questioned her and I said, look, regardless of everything, who am I? Has any of my behaviour ever been hate speech? What have I ever said to somebody that's been horrible? You know, like you're saying that I'm hate speech, but what are my attempts, my actions, and my character? Who am I? You know who I am, and yet you're saying this. And I just the whole very glazed over, you know, very robotic, like you know, and what she's saying, like she's not. Yeah, it's very much a regurgitation.
Yeah. Are you sad that your friend has, because obviously you're going to be upset about the friendship, the upset about her behavior and her willingness to drop the friendship, but is there any bit of you that's actually really just quite disappointed that your friend has turned out to be somebody who has lost their mind or can't think about something, or has maybe, you know, have you lost some respect for the fact that she has transpired to be this sort of cultist?
Yeah, because to tell you, like, there's a really weird story to this. Hey, like when COVID was doing its rounds and a thing, I'm an artist. I do mosaicing as well as doll art, as well as a lot of other art. And I was approached by a group of people doing homeschooling to do art facilitating for their group. And I was quite happy to do that. And when I was telling her about it, she goes, "Ooh, that sounds like a bit of a cult to me. I don't think you should be doing that. I don't think you should trust these people." You know, really like putting me in that cult category just because I said, "Hey, yeah, I'm happy to do this facilitating for homeschooling." And yet her thinking, even being a personal like especially being a personal trainer, you know, I just sort of I'm sort of like, how can you think that way about that and yet think, because she says, she said, I know cults and I've done my research, and I'm thinking, okay, now I'm reflecting, I'm thinking, okay, I think that was on Netflix.
Yeah. It's so strange. I mean, I now have a little barometer, and if somebody says trans women are women, or that there's any such thing as a trans child, I can barely speak to them because I just think if you fundamentally get something like that so very wrong, I don't want to talk to you about anything, because you're either lying or you're stupid. And neither of those things I find particularly attractive. And I kind of almost don't want to convince people. I sort of think, fine, be left with your stupidity. That's fine by me. But I will see you when I get
was
to.
like that.
Sorry.
So I was like that with men. I've been like that with men. If a man says another man, it's okay for them to be a woman, I'm like, yeah, don't want to talk to you, done with you. But I do feel like I'm getting that way with my female folk, who I give more opportunities to, because I'm like, come on, you can get it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, I look forward to you speaking at Speakers Corner Australia. Is that likely? Will you speak?
Yeah, I'll be in Brisbane, and I'm hoping to be, I wanted to be in a couple, but depending on where we fall and how our transport's to get there, I'm hoping to do at least 2. So I'm hoping to do, well, Brisbane, of course, because I live here, but I really want to get my butt down to Melbourne and squeeze me some Melbourne girls. I want some hugs for some Melbourne girls.
Sounds good to me. I look forward to meeting you.
Okay, Kellie-Jay, look forward to it too.
Cheers, lovely. Have a Merry Christmas. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Bye. Oh, it's so sad. Samantha Tracy with your super chat, 20 Great British pounds. Get well soon, Kelly. Keep on fighting the good fight. We'll get there and win 100%. Thank you so very much for that. It's so weird, isn't it? When your friends, just the friends that you've known for a long time. I'm really lucky. Well, perhaps it's because I just don't have that many friends in real life. But there isn't a single one of there's a couple of my friends that might be a bit frightened about their kids, but there is not a single one of my friends that doesn't understand that no woman is born with a penis. There's not a single one that thinks it's okay to transition children. There's not a single one that believes the lies that are put out about kids who believe they're the opposite sex, that they are more likely to commit suicide. None of my friends think that. Maybe it's because we've all been able to talk about it for the last sort of 7 years. So there's not a single one of my friends that we haven't talked about this the whole way through and don't really have a chance to be pulled into this nasty little cult. So, you know, I think it's really important, if your friends aren't talking about it, talk about it. Because I don't know, can we really have friendships where there's things that are just completely off the table? I don't think I can. I think I need to. I mean, I need to talk about everything with everyone all the time, because that's just the sort of person. I'll talk to some random at a bus stop and tell them personal details about myself. I'll talk about anything to anyone. So I certainly won't not talk about this. And if you ever see me out with my children and I'm having a conversation with a stranger, you'll see my children like this. Not again, Mum. I do manage to crowbar into nearly every interaction I ever have. That's why I'm so popular. That's why I'm so terribly popular. So, right, I am on Twitter. We've had Australia, SFW Australia. Do follow them on Twitter. If you're in local organising groups in Canberra, Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Adelaide, Tasmania, Auckland, I think is looking likely, and Christchurch or Wellington. I can't remember when these places are. So if you're in any of those places, please get in touch with Local at Standing for Women. We've got some women on the ground. More people we have, the better. We will need organising teams to make sure we've got permits, make sure the police are informed, whatever your local kind of routine, culture, permits, whatever it is that we need in order to do these speeches, gatherings, speakers' corners, rallies, expelling, whatever we want to call it. We will need your help to do that. We will definitely have security. Now, it won't be security that will keep a crowd safe. It will be security to make sure that there are people there to keep the speakers safe. We will need PA, like speakers, as in technical sound speakers. Those are the sort of things we need. Also, I'm going to try and get a few boxes of t-shirts down to Australia. That lovely lady phoned right at the beginning. Was it Winetta? Juanita. Phoned at the beginning, so I might have to send her some T-shirts and see what we can do there. But I am coming to Australia on the 5th of March. I am staying there until the 30th. I'm going to have, I think, what's called in the business, the time of my life. I will do another one of these in early January when my kids have gone back to school, when I am not celebrating my Twitter return and looking ridiculously tired. So I am going to close the phone line. Otherwise, I'm going to just keep talking into the ether unless someone calls in the next 30 seconds. But let me say to you, ladies, down under, Australia, New Zealand, we are going to change the landscape. You are going to be able to come out, stand next to people, and you are going to be able to say the words that you want to say. You're going to be able to breathe out. You won't even know that you've been holding your breath. You won't know, because the silencing and the self-censorship just comes as something that often we don't even realize that we're not conscious of it at all. But you will be able to come and breathe out at these events. And you will find, like, good evening. This is Kellie-Jay. This is TERF Talk Thursday. You can say who you are. You don't have to. What would you like to say?
Oh, hey, Kelly. This is Steph calling from Queensland. How are you?
I'm good, Steph. How are you this evening?
Well, you're not. Sorry, you weren't too well yesterday.
Well,
sorry.
I'm all right. No, I'm all right. I just probably need to go to bed and have some sleep. But how are you, more importantly, on this fine evening?
Well, it's nearly time to knock off work for the year, so that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Always a good thing. Thanks so much for having us all be able to talk to you and getting ready for next year. It's so exciting. I'm just calling about, I've been gathering crime data.
Oh, right.
In Queensland.
Yeah.
For a little while now, and I've got 10 years worth of crime data for Queensland prisons.
Wow.
And it's divided up by sex and self-ID.
Uh-huh. Go on, tell us
and
what
I'm
found.
finding. Well, male pattern criminality is evident. It's there. It's like, for example, while Shannon Fentman was introducing her bill on Friday, I think the 2nd, and she was saying there's no evidence for these outrageous claims and all that, Queensland Corrective Services were preparing my latest information request.
Yeah.
And there were, on the 30th of June, there were about 8,500 men in the men's prison.
Yeah.
63 trans-identified males in the male prison. 850, so about 10% in the women's prison. So women. So like it's a 90-10 split for males and females. 0 trans-identified females.
Right. Shocking.
But according to Shannon Fentman, there's no evidence.
Why do you
no
think
evidence of
do you think
anything
she's
possibly being a problem?
Is she a liar, or is she blind to it?
Well, that's the other thing. I have been asking the Minister for Police and Queensland Corrective Services, Mark Ryan.
Yeah.
I've been asking for a meeting with him since June to talk about this thing.
Jesus.
So it's been over 200 days, multiple emails, multiple phone calls, and they keep pretending that I haven't asked. And the subject line says in my emails, request for meeting.
So how who can you rely on, sort of, who has any power at all in Queensland? Is there anyone that you could lean on, vote for, rely on, or is the whole place just captured?
No, well, there's this woman called Kellie-Jay Keen. She's coming next year. I think she might go all right.
Oh, I can't tell you how excited I am, except I was looking at one of the social media things and somebody was talking about phobias. I think it must have been on Twitter. And someone was talking about phobias and they said, oh, and it was a huntsman. It was a huntsman spider on the wall. And it was like, I haven't got an irrational fear of this spider. It's a real fear. It's a genuine fear. It's not a phobia. And I was like, oh, damn it. Those things. I do have a genuine fear of spiders. But aside from that, and I also hate flying, but aside from that, I cannot wait. I've wanted to go to Australia for my whole life, and I'm so excited to go to both New Zealand and Australia. And I think it's going to, I think it has the chance of turning something, right? Maybe not turning the whole table, maybe just at like 10 degrees rotation. But I think we have an opportunity to really do something quite magical when I come out to Australia. I really, really do.
Yeah, I agree. But people have been trying for a long time, and the patterns of behaviour that occur everywhere are occurring here, but they're just being ignored.
Yeah.
This really atrocious behaviour.
Why do you think it's being ignored? Did you know? Right. So, as an Australian, did you have any idea that this particular kind of fake progressive thing could really take hold of like government? Like, did you have any idea that that was going to happen, or did you think when you found out about, well, that won't happen because nobody would be that stupid?
Oh well, I've been worried about it for quite a while, and I spoke to it must be probably 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
A domestic violence CEO.
Right.
And I said, this is possible. This is coming, and they're going to be forcing you to house males in your units. She said, no, that won't happen. And lo and behold, they all have the trans flag at the bottom of their emails now, and their referral form asks for gender identity. It doesn't even ask for sex.
God, the domestic violence shelters.
Yeah. So yeah, Shannon Fentiman has, made it so that when women want to apply for a grant, for a women's grant, for some sort of activity for women, there's all this money set aside to do specific things for women, and the website talks about our unique needs, but then it says in the fine print, for all those who identify as women.
Oh, God's sake.
So they've and this is a couple of years ago when I first saw this, and I emailed them and said, what about females who identify as trans? They have the same unique needs as women because they are female. No.
God.
They won't hear it. They won't hear it at all.
No. Well,
and they're really rude about it too.
Well, I expect they are, because they can't defend it. So that's what's really happening. There's no defense for their position. So they have to be rude because they can't have that conversation. It's a bit like living in an abusive household, or living with somebody that cheats on you. They have to be rude and shut your conversation down because they cannot be found out. So I think that's it's just crazy. But I really look forward to seeing you, and thank you for your work on getting these crime stats, because I think it's really important that people do the hard, more labor intensive kind of data gathering. It's a really important thing.
I can't wait to meet you.
Can't wait to meet you either.
Thanks so much for coming.
You're very welcome. Have a very Merry Christmas. Bye.
You too.
Bye. Lola Moth says, where will I be on International Women's Day? Do you know, I don't even, what is that, March the 18th? I don't know, but I guess it's got to be somewhere doing something fabulous. I don't even focus on International Women's Day anymore because I just think the whole thing is a big fat sham now. We need, I don't know, International Vulva Day or something. Although I suspect that will be taken over by men also. Anyway, right, look, if we can gather together, if you can get hold of your local, for you Aussies and Kiwis, I don't even know if you like being called that, for you Australians and New Zealanders and Islanders, wherever you are, if you want to help overthrow this insanity, then please consider joining your local Standing for Women group. You can go via Twitter. That probably is the quickest way, because if you go through the lady in the UK, she is dealing with everybody. So it would be just an absolute delight to see you. We will be needing to raise huge amount of funds for this tour so that we can reach every single last one of you. If you would like to help us do that, you can go to standingforwomen.com/let women speak. That is how we're going to fund this tour. We've been offered very generous offers, but they required a little bit of control, and I'm not willing to give anyone any control over what we are doing here. So we have to do this on our own. That's all that's happening. Oh, I think I'm going to come down with something. Yeah, that's I'm just I think I'm going to have something fabulous for you to show you, just the sort of thing that we can do when we all put our minds to it. I think I might be able to show you that in about 3 days' time. So let's just say this. If you can stand together with women, no matter what your views are on other things, if you can unite on this one issue and you can refuse to be divided, then I promise we will win. If you can hold your head high and you can speak above the insanity and you can just focus on getting stuff done, not focusing on AGPs on Twitter. I'm certainly not going to do that. Then I promise we will win. If you come out, show your face, stand beside a woman, breathe out, be able to say the words that you are desperate to say, actually in the ether without fear, then I promise we will win. And do you know why else we're going to win? Because I never lose